today?
Yeah, well, I always had I had a saying, and that saying was, I want to help people get out of the pot of poverty and move into the mainstream of economic opportunity. Because again, like I heard my grandmother say all the time, why they let this happen to us? Why don't they come do something about this? And I knew ain't nobody gonna come do nothing about this unless it's us. We have to make that transition. We have to make the determination that we're gonna change the quality of life that we have. We're gonna change our neighborhood community.
So how many properties have you developed as of today, or how many do you own as well? If you want to give us a number, a ballpark.
If I talk about the number of properties I have owned or been involved with in some way, altogether we've started about 103
Wow.
small minority enterprises.
So today I am about to meet with the Godfather of Urban Development, the man who has invested over $100 million in the East Side. And we are in the Linwood Shopping Center. I'm about to meet the one and only Mr. Maxwell himself. Hi, Mr. Maxwell, how you doing?
Hey, Zik.
Thank you for welcoming to your
All right.
office.
All right.
Beautiful. Where are we right now?
This is my office. This is
Yes.
this is where I live.
Yeah, this is where you retired, but you didn't retire.
I'm in here usually 10, 12 hours every day.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Let's sit down and talk a little bit. Yeah, thank you. All right, so what do we have, Mr. Maxwell? Show me a little bit of kind of the history of where you started and kind of where you are today.
Okay, this is a pictorial that will help a lot in explaining to you what we've been able to do. You'll get a chance to see some of the ventures that were the building blocks for me to get here. The young lady you see in the film here is putting Hallmark card Christmas bulbs in a Hallmark card box, and we box them up and we ship Hallmark cards all over the country.
Wow.
In this shop right here. This is the equipment we use for doing the injection molding. She's got a circle that we're making for Southwestern Bell, the telephone dial. We make millions of those for them.
Oh, the telephone thing?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
This is Builder's Block, the cement block manufacturing plant I was telling you about.
Yes.
This is a system called Trailer Rail, the most modern equipment used to make cement blocks.
Yes.
And we were an experiment to see whether or not we could make it work. There were 7 companies in Kansas City. Today there are only 2 because we took them all out.
Wow.
This is just showing the block yard. We're keeping about $3-4 million worth of blocks in that yard every day.
Okay.
And it's just showing how we load them up. This is the project I said. This is what I bought for $1.
$1, yes.
It was just like this. And everybody was wondering, what do you do with it? Well, the guy took all the salvage out of it. I understand a couple of $1 million worth of salvage came out of the hospital. And then he just walked away. Well, the city came after him and I bought this and turned it into the Linwood Shopping Center. And this is the first.
Yes.
This was the first shot at the shopping center. Of course, we're located right here now in the office building. That was a vacant building, you'll see in a minute. These are some of the tenants. That was a Hallmark cards store. This was a Payless shoe store. So this was a Christian book nook. So all kind of Christian paraphernalia. This was a drugstore, reliable drugstore.
Yeah.
This was Popeye. This was the first Popeyes in Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Right here, you know.
Whoa.
And
it's still there to today.
Yeah, it's still there today. Yeah, okay. And we moved from this side of the street to across the street. This side was successful. So I went across the street, bought all the land, and built what we call an incubator. It was going to be a black incubator to see whether or not we could put in 20 black businesses in this incubator and guide them to success. It worked in one way. In other words, we had a lot of those minority entrepreneurs that fell through the cracks, and we ended up having to get AAA businesses to bring in to stabilize the center. Same thing down here. When this is 3000 Prospect, another shopping center, we built that one.
Yeah.
This is showing the kind of businesses we had in there. We did not want to have anything used. We wanted to have a prototype of sophisticated enterprises in here. This was going across the street. We did Hollywood Video across the street. And this is the building we're in right now. It had been vacant for about 5 years. Bought it, and we ended up turning into the building it is now. This is a special program. These men have been convicted of drug crimes. But instead of sending them to the penitentiary, we were able to get Judge O'Malley to work with us and he sentenced them, then sent them to us. And we work with them. So we take an approach that over a 4-year period, you get a GED, you learn a trade, you get into the union, and we can get your record expunged.
Wow, is that program still running, or has it been back in the days?
It was an experimental program, just like this was an experimental program. When the administration first decided that they wanted welfare recipients not to be on welfare more than 5 years, they gave us some money. We picked up a couple of $1 million to start a program to train welfare recipients how to become CNAs so they could work in hospitals, nursing homes, and in private duty.
Yeah, empowering everyone. Yeah.
These young people here are working in one of our business programs. Before we had Prospect Business Association, we were doing this, teaching young people how to become entrepreneurs. They're working on their business plans, and if they're successful, we take them to the bank and they get funding. Wow. The lady you see here is from Lincoln University.
Yeah. It
was a joint program. We did a joint venture with Lincoln University.
Wow.
And this is our carts program. We have these carts in Oak Park Mall, Bannister Mall, downtown. This was a wings wagon. We had hot dog wagons, ice cream wagons, and these are dry good wagons right here that you see in the malls and everything.
Yeah.
And we would take someone. This young man here just got out of penitentiary for murder, and he got trained. He ended up getting a cart and doing very, very well on that cart. Here, I have a gentleman by the name of Rudy Gregory, who's my maintenance manager. Rudy was teaching these guys, young guys, off the corner, how to do maintenance work, trying to turn them into maintenance men. And this is the Seven Oaks Shopping Center that we talked about earlier. This was Leon's United Super. Today, it's a medical center that's located there. But we bought the shopping center, ran the shopping center, had the housing complex next door to it, which was a 60-unit housing complex. And this just shows all of the various things that we've been able to do throughout.
Wow, you have built it all. It's like you are building your own Black Wall Street on the east side, because these are all fantastic, and you own most of it. This is amazing. I definitely want to go see, especially the shopping center. I definitely want to go see and kind of like walk and kind of point at things to give a feel of it. Yeah, let's go check it out. Blowing up, gotta put them on hold. I am the bag, that's what I've been told. I keep my cool under pressure like a boss. I'm all in, it don't matter what it costs. All I do is win and look good from the top. Let's go. I am unstoppable. I am unstoppable. Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome back to another S2E10 Entrepreneur episode. I am Zik Nwanganga, your host and your favorite storyteller. Before I even go further, have you guys been enjoying this season so far? We have had some amazing guests on the show, and we have a lot more to come. So I hope you guys are enjoying. I hope you guys are liking. I hope you guys are sharing. But today, as usual, I'm always excited for the guests that we have every single week because we have so many dynamic entrepreneurs. Like I always say on the show, there is no BS. We bring real people with real stories so you can learn from their journey, to learn from how they went from 0 to 100 in their business, and hopefully you can learn from that and be inspired. So before I start the show, I want to give a quick shout out to KC Sourcelink for sponsoring this episode. If you're a small business owner or startup and you're looking for capital, you're trying to figure out how to start your pitch deck or start your business, any resource you need as an entrepreneur, go to kcsourcelink.org to find everything you need and get the info. Now that I've paid some bills, let's get to the show. I am really excited for the guest that I have today because I know you guys are going to learn out from him. I'm always excited because I bring a lot of good people from Kansas City. So today, I am thrilled to welcome a veteran in the development industry. He is a seasoned entrepreneur and a community leader in Kansas City. The guest I have today has over 20 years of experience as the president of the Community Development Corporation of Kansas City. He has leveraged over $100 million to build and develop 75 enterprises, including the Metro Shopping Center. Please help me make welcome to S2E10 Entrepreneur, the KC Urban Core Godfather of Development, Mr. Maxwell. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Zeke.
Welcome to the show.
All right, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you, making the time out to come and chat with me.
Always glad to share the story of how or what we're doing in the urban core.
Yes. So for those who don't know who Mr. Maxwell is, just give us a little bit of a bio of kind of your journey to how you got to where you are today.
I'm a lifelong resident of Kansas City. I'm an entrepreneur. My entrepreneur journey started probably when I was about 13 years old.
Okay.
I had a number of side hustles that I did. I went to live with my aunt when I was 6 years old, and pretty much always felt the need to take care of myself, earn my own money. So I did a lot of things as a young person to hustle, whether it was shining shoes, it was cutting grass, it was working for a while I worked for my father, washing windows. As a matter of fact, I thought this finger right here was deformed from getting up into the corner.
Wow.
But when I came out of school, I started organizing welfare mothers on 12th Street, right off of Woodland, Wayne Manor, organizing welfare recipients to understand what their rights were. They were fighting for dignity, justice, democracy, and a guaranteed adequate income. And at that time, a guaranteed adequate income in 1969 was $5,500 a year for a family of four.
Whoa.
So we've come a long way since then. But it was basically a civil rights position, because welfare recipients did not understand all the rights they had, nor the opportunities that were available to them. So being fresh out of school, being 22 years old, I learned a lot from them, and hopefully they learned a lot from me. But being aggressive and always being an organizer, that's all I had to work with. It's not like I had any job experience. After working with the Welfare Rights Group for 2 years, it dawned on me that what we needed to do was create business in the heart of our community that would employ people that were underemployed, that was unemployed or underemployed, and to offer opportunities to people to get off of welfare by doing some things that they wanted to do. So started opening small businesses. It was recommended that I serve on the Black Economic Union Board. And it was a committee there called the Inner City Foundation. So they put me on the Inner City Foundation. After a year, I was the chairman of the Inner City Foundation.
Wow.
And we were looking at our community, trying to figure out how we could start more enterprises, create more jobs, remove blight, and do all those kinds of things in our own community. And we be responsible for doing that. It's a big thing in our community where somebody, especially elderly people in our community, are always saying, why don't somebody do something about this? Why they let this happen to our community? Well, it dawned on me real early. That's got to be us. Because the only people that were really concerned about what was happening in our community was us. So us had to do something about it.
Yes.
So that got me started. I had, again, been an entrepreneur in my own right anyway. Early on, had started a pre-release program, releasing prisoners from federal institutions, and had a contract. We kept about 155 prisoners every day.
Whoa.
And they spend 90, 120 days with us. And then we could put them out into society, or the federal prison could put them out in society. I was just a caretaker. That worked so well that the state wanted us to do the same thing. So I set up at 1026 Forest, I set up a pre-release program for state prisoners.
Whoa.
We kept about 80 state prisoners there. So that rolled real well. I was making a lot of money. So in making a lot of money, what I ended up having to do was figure out how to spend that money. Next thing we did, my brother and I, we started a radio station. We had the second black radio station in Kansas City. It's called KCXL. We put it at 63rd Street, on 63rd Street. From there.
Why was the radio station important though? What was that important?
It was a means of being able to communicate to the community. There's only one side of the story that can be told in most instances. That's whatever was in the Star newspaper, or what was on the major medias. Having a radio station that allowed me to communicate. And we picked up a young audience because we played a lot of urban contemporary music, and so a lot of people listening. It was also a place where they could get news and find out facts. He had talk shows that dealt with issues that were important and pertinent to the Black community. From there, ended up opening up my first auto dealership, Chevrolet dealership.
Whoa!
I had the first Black-owned Chevrolet dealership in
Kansas City.
Yeah, and I had that at 6th and right off 6th and Paseo. But we had a Chevrolet dealership there. From there, ended up opening up an animal hospital. Got with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Swoop. Dr. Swoop just passed, but he was the only Black veterinarian in Kansas City at the time. And we went into a partnership, opened up a veterinary clinic. Wow. Did very well with that. And any number of other small enterprises. But it was all setting the stage for what I was going to do at the Community Development Corporation of Kansas City. That's where we were able to do things like have a cement block manufacturing plant, do 85% of all the cement blocks in Kansas City.
Whoa.
Have a plastics molding injection plant where we were able to do anything under 18 ounces of plastic, and became the largest minority-owned plastics molding injection plant in the country. That's where we got involved with a company called Cake Box, and we ran the largest kosher bakery in Kansas City. It's called Cake Box, and we did very well with it for a while, and then we sold it. That gave me the idea. I didn't get the idea really on the front side to start the shopping centers. The first shopping center I had was located at 39th and Kensington. It was called Seven Oaks Shopping Center, and it housed the only Black-owned grocery store we had in Kansas City for years. It's called Leon's. Next door to that shopping center was a housing complex called Seven Oaks. We ended up buying Seven Oaks housing complex and rehabbing it and putting it back out to lease. From there, I got the idea of doing the grocery store, but Reverend Hartsfield of Metropolitan Church, he pricked my conscience and said, hey, we got that old St. Joe Hospital sitting over there on the corner of Linwood and Prospect, and ain't nobody doing nothing about it, and it looks a mess. So we bought the hospital. I went and bought the hospital. It cost me $1. And we became partners with the Baptist Ministers Union. And we had some 31 ministers become our business partner. And that was important because that was a marketing strategy we used. Those churches had a piece of ownership, and I needed the ministers from the pulpit to inform the congregations on a regular basis. It ain't just me, it's we involved in this deal. We also had some 20 minority businessmen invest in the shopping center, which was important. It's the only deal like that I'm aware of in Kansas City where we had multiple investors come together to make something happen. The city, we got the city involved because the city gave us, ended up with some challenge, giving us $1 million to work on that project. We get the federal government to give us $1 million to work on the project. And then we were able to turn around and get some specialty investors to assist us. And we got Prudential Insurance Company to do our long-term financing.
Wow.
Okay. So after operating that for a period of time, we opened that in '86. By '92, decided to go across the street and expand. And that's where we opened up Linwood Square.
Gotcha.
And that was an experiment to see whether or not we could do a all-minority shopping center. And the experiment, to some extent, worked. But as minority vendors started to fail, we ended up having to get AAA companies to come in and take their leases so that we could stabilize the shopping center and keep it and guide it to success. And that worked well. About that time also, my pastor, a gentleman by the name of Reverend Earl Abel, took advantage of me. He said, I need you to help me do some housing. And I really didn't want to help him do the housing because I knew I wasn't going to get paid for it. But we started on a project and we built a 60-unit 202 housing project.
Wow.
It was right down the street, a block away from the shopping center. So I got a chance to clean up the block because they had a lot of raggedy businesses there. Got a chance to clean it up, and it became successful. 3-4 years later, we bought the rest of the land on Montgall, right across the street from the shopping center, and built a second phase of housing. It's called Palestine North. Another 60 unit of senior housing. Since we had the projects there, the pastor wanted to do a activity center for seniors. I said, okay. So we ended up building a large senior citizen center for recreation for seniors in our community.
Yeah.
Now right now that center has a membership of about 1,000.
1,000 people.
Yeah, but we over the years, we probably had 15,000 people go through the center. And we provide meals every day for seniors.
Yeah.
We deliver meals to seniors. We provide various recreational projects. We have a fitness center, full-size fitness center.
In the building.
Seniors like to have things like dances, proms, and so forth.
Yes.
We do all that.
Provide all that.
Anything the seniors might want to do.
Yeah.
They play dominoes, they shoot pool, they do all those things.
Just to get entertainment and keep things rolling. Man, we're not even 15 minutes in, and your resume is just a lot of great stories of just you succeed and being, I would say, the best at everything. But before I want to dive into entrepreneurship in a little bit, but I want to take it back. Let's take it back a little bit, right? Growing up, are you a Gen X or a Boomer?
I am a boomer.
Boomer, okay. So what was that like growing up in that time? Like who was young Mr. Maxwell? What was that, going into high school, college?
We had a lot of successful businessmen. And I come from a very poor household. I didn't really know them. And I found it very hard to get them to work with me. And that's why I work with so many young people now, because I know what it's like to try and start an enterprise and not have experienced entrepreneurs offering you information. That's why I created the Prospect Business Association. And that's exactly what we're supposed to do, provide technical assistance to young, budding entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And even successful entrepreneurs, if we can provide them with training, information, whatever they might need. We've got a close working relationship with several banks, so we can hook them up with financial assistance at points and times, marketing strategies, or whatever is necessary at that particular time to assist them. But I didn't have a lot of businessmen from our community work with me when I first got started. It was all pretty much trial and error.
From outside, yeah.
Yeah. Now we through the Black Economic Union, I work with Curtis McClinton. And Curtis McClinton will work with Jim Brown, running back. Yeah. And they have created this Black Economic Union. They set that up all over the country. Every major every major city with a football franchise. Yes. Jim Brown worked with to start this Black Economic Union. But Kansas City has the only one that survived. But it was a great idea. Get players, NFL players, to invest in the community that was paying them, so that when they got through playing football, there'd be someplace to go. Now the guys make so much money now, they have to worry about someplace to go. Gotcha. When their careers are
so
over.
Like this, they were helping them start businesses and being able to reinvest their money, more like maybe I would say an angel investor or more like a venture capital type thing where you put money in and they help you reinvest into community.
Yeah, they did a number of, the guy had some, these guys had contracts then, $60,000, $70,000. When I was making $6,000 to $7,000 a year, that seemed like a lot of money to me.
Yeah, that's a lot of
money.
money.
But today, some of those guys, a big contract for them was $100,000. Today, these guys, Mahomes got a $500 million contract. So
yeah, that's a different ballgame now.
When he's all done, he shouldn't have a problem finding a job.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because I know you are UMKC alumni. What was that like going to UMKC at that time? Why was it important for you to get education? Was that part of family, or what was that like?
Well, I started off at Central Missouri State, and at Central Missouri State. Later, I got suspended from from Central Missouri State, and my fallback was to come back. I got married, and I had a child.
Wow.
And I still wanted to go back and finish my education, so I ended up going to UMKC.
Okay.
I had bought a house, I had a wife, I had a child,
Wow.
and I was organizing welfare recipients. I had a contract to do that. And at the same time, I was trying to finish up my last year of college,
Okay.
going to UMKC. So I didn't get real active with the school, other than to go in and
Just
take
get
my
your
classes.
education. And
Yeah, they had a black student union, and a gentleman by the name of Keith Hines was running it. And Keith and I had been in school together for some time, so I hung out with him. I gave him recommendations, even helped him raise money for that black student union. But to say I was really engaged on the campus, no, I wasn't. I was in the community.
Yeah.
Now, and at that time too, not only was I helping welfare rights, but I was working with other social organizations to try and build some economic engines in our community that can make a difference.
Yeah. Why was that? So I want to ask this because I know with your journey and your story, how are you so successful in so many different things that you've done, and become, I would say, one of the best to do it? What is that? What is it, a mentality, or is there a process that you follow that has kept you making sure that even if this doesn't work out, you keep focusing on how have you been able to do that? Yeah.
Tenacity, just sticking with it.
Yeah.
You know, when you decide you want to do something, you have to be tenacious in terms of, we're going to make this work. We're going to make this work. And I talk about some of the businesses that we were very successful in, but also we had some businesses we tried to do and we weren't successful in it. And that hurt when you put a lot of energy into it.
True.
And it doesn't work. But we just kept trying.
Yeah.
This business, that business. And I've taken advantage of opportunities as they presented themselves. We went out looking for deals, but also we took advantage of deals that were available. I did that as an individual entrepreneur, and also as the president of the Community Development Corporation of Kansas City. So I had a spirit of entrepreneurship, and I surrounded myself with a lot of young people that had the same spirit. And we were young doing this because, again, like I say, I took over the CDC at about 25 years old.
Whoa.
And I was the oldest person on my payroll.
Wow.
So
at that time.
Yeah, so I was getting people fresh out of college.
Yeah.
And we were going through trial and error. We were also going through trial and error and submitting requests for funding to fund certain projects, whether that was with the city of Kansas City, the state of Missouri, or especially with the Office of Economic Opportunity in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And later on, we were very successful in getting a lot of money out of CSA. Later, we were very successful in getting a lot of money out of Health and Human Services. The Office of OCS, the OCS office there.
Yeah.
We would average close to $1 million a year that we would get to start enterprises in our community.
So how many properties have you developed as of today, or how many do you own as well? If you want to give us a number, a ballpark.
If I talk about the number of properties I have owned or been involved with in some way, altogether we've started about 103
Wow.
small minority enterprises.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of those included the property. Some of those included land deals, apartments, housing, whatever was available. We own Metro Shopping Center.
Yes.
And behind Metro Shopping Center was also a housing project. So we ended up buying, it was called the Citadel. We ended up buying the Citadel. At the Citadel, we built a senior housing project there, 60 units, and we still had a lot of land, so we started building affordable housing. We ended up building about 35 units of affordable housing.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take me back to your first development, your first building, your first business. How much did you have to start, and how were you able to grow what you had into over 100 projects that you've funded so far?
It was by happenstance. I can't tell you I had a scheme or a system. it was by trial and error. And as opportunity presented itself, we would make application for funds that we heard about, and we win the award, and we start that particular business. Or we found investors, pulled them together, and invested with them. In most of the major enterprises we had business partners. Alpha Plastics, we had a guy named Willie Wesley that became our partner. With Builders Block, we had a partner, a guy named Herb Blitz, who became our partner. We ended up owning the lion's side share of the business. We always also offered the folk an opportunity to buy the business and become independent. There was a business called Newspaper Electronics, owned by a gentleman by the name of Kelvin Perry. Kelvin was on my staff. He became the comptroller of the business, and we gave him some stock. He leveraged that stock into ownership and built the enterprise, and it did very well. So where we could, we worked with folks so that they became independent entrepreneurs, and they had ownership.
Yeah. So if someone who's watching today is trying to get into development, or how do you get into those rooms where you get partners, investors? How do you start? Because I know most times your family or friends might not be the best places to go to, but how do you get into those conversations and put yourself in a position to kind of win, I would say?
Well, generally, we have a lot of folk. You're familiar with, like right now, I send them all up to Prospect Business Association.
Yes.
And I'm still the president of Prospect Business Association, but what we're trying to do is have folk with ideas that want to do something. We have them share with the staff what they're trying to do, and staff tries to figure out how we can help. Sometimes it's capital injection, and we're trying to find a way to get banks to invest or other entrepreneurs to invest with them. But we have people that have all kinds of ideas about what they want to do. One thing that I'll digress a little bit. One of the first major businesses we had was called Aquarius Fiberglass.
Okay.
We hooked up with a gentleman that invented the fiberglass bathtub. Very first patent on fiberglass bathtub.
Whoa. And
so we said, this is going to be great, revolutionary. I can pick this up by myself, and as opposed to a porcelain bathtub.
Yeah.
But we couldn't sell the idea. The industry was so used to having porcelain bathtubs, they weren't ready for it. But after about 5-6 years, I got tired of struggling with it. We ended up selling the patent. Then we ended up hooking the brother that had come up with the patent, hooking him up with the folk we sold the patent to. And every time I walk in Home Depot now, I get sick. So, oh my God, we gave this up for little or nothing.
Wow. Wow.
But we didn't. And that happens to a lot of minority entrepreneurs. Period. They come up with an idea, but they have no way of financing it. They don't have any inroads, so they end up. Somebody comes along, offers them a little bit of money, they take it and they expand it because they have the marketing capacity
behind it
to expand. Even little things like with Alpha Plastics.
Yes.
Willie Wesley calls me one night, late, like about 12 o'clock at night, and says, "Hey, I got a good idea." "What's the good idea?" He said, "I bought, I think it was like 10 pizzas, and when they got to me, they were all smashed together, and the top of the pizzas, you had to smash
the
them.
boxes were."
So he said, "I got an idea. I can prevent that." So he designed a little table, small plastic table.
Yeah.
You could sit inside the pizza to keep the box from smashing. You may have.
I have seen that in pizzas.
Okay, well that was one of the inventions of our plastic company.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Just having a good idea. Having some smashed pizzas got him really mad and thought, here's one way they could do that. We ended up selling that to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
And then selling it to Godfather's Pizza, and then selling it to other pizzerias. It became a simple thing. And it wasn't an expensive proposition.
It was not.
Because it cost us about a penny a piece to make those.
I did not know that. That is I'm glad you told that story, because I have seen those things in pizzas and I have no idea what they do until this moment.
Just to keep the pizza from smashing.
From smashing, yeah. Funny, but I thought it was to so you can hold the pizza and take the one out and hold the other one, take the other one out, hold the one and take the other one out. But now that we know the use of it, man, that's super cool. So I want to talk. So tell me this. I know that growing up, especially being in Kansas City, in the '60s and the '70s, being development, KC is known for race when it comes to development. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you? Did that impact you? How did you go through that?
Yeah, very difficult because the community was not, the banking community was not very nice to the black entrepreneur.
Yes,
they weren't. It's still a major impediment, but it was real bad then. Getting the financial institutions. I picketed my bank. I picketed my bank for a day before they said, "Hey, come on in here." I wanted a $5,000 line of credit, and finally, after picketing for a day, the president said, "Come on in here. I don't need you walking them down the street saying black folk don't shop here." So they made the $5,000 loan to me. I took the $5,000 and I went down to the courthouse and bought houses that were being taken for taxes. And I used that $5,000. The first $5,000, I think we bought about 4 or 5 houses with it.
For $5,000. What year was this?
This was back in it'd been about 70s, late 70s, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the houses were going. I could buy a house for sometimes $600, $700, $1,000 for taxes that had not been paid.
Dang.
Okay, take that house,
flip it,
and rehab it, and flip it, and that's what my brother and I were doing. That's a little side business we had.
Yeah.
But it worked out for me because over the years I've probably rehabbed in excess of 100 houses.
Okay.
And there was always something I could do on the side.
Yeah.
Buy a house, I got crews, send the crews in there, do the rehab, and flip it, sell it. And if I was able to make $15,000, $20,000 out of the deal, that was good. As I started to do larger deals, I looked for a larger return.
Yeah.
Did the same thing with warehouses, commercial buildings, and so forth. Go in, buy them, rehab them, and flip them, turn them.
So tell me, was it harder to be able to reinvest, especially in the black community, than to just join the ship and go to suburbs and start building over there? What was that? Was it harder?
Well, it would have been harder for me to go to the white community because I didn't know anybody, didn't have any contacts.
Exactly.
I was familiar with the black community. I was familiar with my city council people. I was familiar with my county legislator. I was familiar with my state representatives. I had people that were in place that I could go and talk to and ask for insight. Once I got a good relationship with the First National Bank of Kansas City, they gave me a line of credit. They gave me a $200,000 line of credit. That opened up a whole lot of doors because I could write a check for $200,000 and go and do a deal without going to the bank.
Wow.
Then go to the bank and explain what I had done and say, okay, I need additional financing. And I had some friendly bankers that worked with me. But that didn't come for about 10 years into my development as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm at the top, that's 1, not 2 or 3. It's real life, baby, don't make believe. I just make it look easy like ABC. I'm on it 24/7, 25.
So, Mr. Maxwell, we are in the Linwood Shopping Center. This is kind of your abode, so to say.
Yes.
So give us a little bit of history, what we're looking at, and kind of what all this is.
Okay. As I told you before, the St. Joe Hospital used to be where the parking lot's at now. We were able to do something that had not been done in the inner city in a while, get a lot of national tenants. All these are basically national tenants that we've been able to bring to the core of the inner city.
See Rainbow, T-Mobile, Pizza Hut.
All these are national tenants. And so one of the things that our community's been short on is having goods and services that everybody else has got.
Yes.
Now, these are not the AAA tenants, but they are national tenants that provide valuable services to the heart of my community.
Yes.
Again, Rainbow, Metro Shopping, Metro Phone, Pizza Hut, Liberty Tax, all national-oriented tenants.
So, story you don't probably know is I used to have a friend back in college who lived on Linwood, about 2 minutes from here. I used to come to the Sunfresh to get milk, water, and groceries. Full circle moment that I'm actually standing with the owner of it is such a, I think it's an inspiring moment for me, hearing the story of like how this whole thing started.
Well, it started because we had a group of ministers that wanted to do something about the hospital, and they asked me to get involved, and it was an opportunity.
Yeah.
So I didn't know where I was going with it, but we gradually ended up building the shopping center. And the main thing we were building was putting a grocery store in the heart of our community. These other stores all feed off of the grocery store.
Yeah. So looking at all this now, and looking back to where you started, looking back to you being a kid, what does this do to you or do to your heart, seeing all the things, booming in the community?
Well, it makes me feel good because, see, in 1968 during the riots, all of this was burned. Everything was burned down. There was nothing left. And it looked like a deserted community. And now we've been able to do some restoration and restore by bringing in again a lot of national tenants to provide services to my community.
Yeah. I think it's also one thing to talk about it or say I'm going to do it, but it's another thing to actually do it. And actually to be standing in it is so inspiring for me. And I hope, people who are watching can be able to be inspired by that as well.
I'm inspired by it every time I walk the shopping center. I'm inspired again to do the next project. And we started here and moved that direction, then we moved this direction, and we went all the way down the street. So from 30th and Prospect all the way down to 35th and Prospect, we've been able to develop.
Sweet. So I definitely want to go see some of your more developments from this shopping center, so we can pull up and go, see some more stuff. So we are on the other side of the street, and you still own this side too.
Yes.
So what are we looking at here?
These are our largest store over here is City Trends, and then Crickets are all over the city. But we got a Cricket franchise here, got a City Gear franchise here selling all kinds of sporting goods services. We got Hibbett, which is Hibbett owns the City Gear, but we got both of them in here, and they're more geared. They have sports clothing here. They have all kinds of sporting goods down there. We also have in the middle of it, We Credit Union. We Credit Union is the black credit union that was just formed. So.
So what did it take to go from just local businesses to having major franchises coming into, especially the Black community? Because I know usually back in days, they probably would not want to touch this side of the city.
But one of the things that happens is we'd love to have all local businesses, but they do not have the financial capacity or backing. These national companies come in, and it stabilizes everything, because once they sign a 20-year contract, they're going to be here for 20 years, and that's what we need.
Wow.
Okay, we have H&R Block. H&R Block has been here for almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of our newest businesses down here is Archwell. Archwell is a medical service for seniors, and they've done very well, and they spent a lot of money putting this medical center together.
Okay. Is that the building you were talking about on the pictures? Is that one of them over there, or is that another one?
No, the buildings across the street, we're gearing to ultimately tear them down and put a franchise on that corner.
So thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell, for all the wonderful things you do. I think this is so inspiring, especially for me being a young person and being able to walk in this. I drive past it all the time, and it's such an inspiring thing to hear from you and kind of see how you're developing the community. So thank you so much for all you do, and I'm hopefully someone can learn from this and be able to be inspired.
Thank you for coming in and filming it.
Yeah.
And you can share it with the rest of the community so that everybody can see. We don't have a lot of news stories over here unless they're negative. This becomes something that's positive.
Yeah. I'm grateful and glad to be able to be part of that. So thank you so much. Yeah, so I know you mentioned that you bought the shopping center for $1. How did you do that, and where can I find a shopping center to buy for $1?
Well, it wasn't the purchase of the shopping center, it was the purchase of the St. Joe Hospital, the old St. Joe Hospital, and that cost $1. And we ended up spending about $500,000 doing the demolition. It was supposed to cost about $1.5 million to demolish hospital. But I found a guy that had been doing demolition for many years, came up with an idea. There were 3 basements in the hospital, busted out all the basements, and then imploded the whole hospital into a hole, buried it, and compacted. And it's stood for the last 35 years without any problem.
Wow.
Now, my concern was at first, is this going to hold up?
Yeah.
Will we get major cracks? And we have not had major cracks in the parking lot. But when you look at the shopping center is sitting on what used to be Wabash Street.
Okay.
But the hospital itself that was imploded is down in the hole. Okay.
So if I had $1 and bought like a hospital or a building, what would it get for them to sell me that? Would they know that I had $100,000 for $500,000 to develop it? What would that be?
Well, the guy I bought it from, it didn't make him any difference. He just wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because the city was on him for maintaining a nuisance. That hospital had sit like that for about 5 years. The raggediest thing in Kansas City. Matter of fact, ABC Television came to me, and they shot a movie on that site. It was called The Day After. Okay, starring Jason Robards.
Okay.
And it was the aftermath. The director said, after looking all over America, this best represents what a nuclear holocaust would do to a community. And that's sitting right there in the heart of our community.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, that's how bad it was,
Dang.
And they've had some smoke coming up and stuff like they put all kind of stuff on people's faces.
Yeah.
To resemble nuclear waste on people's body. That was pretty easy for them to do. Yeah.
So take me back to your childhood. Who was the main inspiring factor for you going into entrepreneurship, and how did that help you through your journey?
I did not have a lot of people in my family that were entrepreneurs. Matter of fact, I only had one. He was like an uncle, but he was really a second cousin. He was my mother's first cousin. That was the only businessman we had in our community. I had an aunt that owned a beauty shop that I lived with. And she had it was a small business. She did hair. She did hair in the basement. Those were the only business people that we really had. I had in my family had contact with. And my cousin that had a trucking business. I don't know if he was good for me or not, but I watched him and I got a lot out of watching him.
Right.
But he worked me pretty hard on a part-time basis, loading candy. He had a candy contract. He loaded all this candy. We transferred from the candy company to the railroad, to the airport, to other trucking lines and everything. And I saw him as being very successful entrepreneur. My aunt, who was doing hair, never had to work for anybody. She made enough money doing hair to take care of herself. So those are the entrepreneurs that were influential. I saw businessmen out in the community, and I thought, wow, they're doing a great job. But I didn't know how to get there. And so, and I didn't try to emulate them. I just stayed with what I was doing. And my brother was a business partner to me. And we just, folk thought we were doing very well, but we were going from one, I call it mammy-made enterprise, to the next one, trying to make it work. We're buying buildings, starting businesses. Most of the businesses we barely made any money out of, but it was all more like a learning situation
For you guys, yeah.
They were in different industries, so we learned a little bit about various industries, how to connect, and then being able to identify people that could help us once we got into the enterprise. Yeah.
Is there a saying? So let me give an example. So my mom used to say, it's an Igbo saying. She goes, "Offerum eja afroha," which means what works for person A might not work for person B. So don't always imitate people. Right. Is there a saying like that, or something that has caught on to you? You've heard growing up that you still remember to today?
Yeah. Well, I always had a saying, and that saying was, "I want to help people get out of the pot of poverty and move into the mainstream of economic opportunity. Because again, like I heard my grandmother say all the time, why they let this happen to us? Why don't they come do something about this? And I knew ain't nobody gonna come do nothing about this unless it's us. We have to make that transition. We have to make the determination that we're gonna change the quality of life that we have. We're gonna change our neighborhood. And that's what I've been trying to do. When I look out now at 31st and Prospect, and I say, I got a shopping center over here, got a shopping center over here, shopping center here, got a housing complex back here, housing complex over here, another housing complex out here, senior citizen center here. I own all the land around here.
You did it.
And it wasn't by design, it just happened.
Exactly.
Every time I did something, there was an opportunity to do something else. And what you're trying to do is add on to, once you start doing something, add on to and make the second phase, and then the third phase, and the fourth phase of what you're doing. Keep all of it in line.
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
You know.
Is there a principle that you go by that has helped you become so successful that you still live by in terms of whatever you're doing?
I try not to get in over my head too much. I've had some businesses backfire on me, and that's tough. And then you feel like you're losing all of your equity in that particular deal. But you can't cry about it. You just go out and do another deal.
Yeah.
As an independent entrepreneur, you just go out and do another deal. And I never had anybody that hold my hand because I never have worked for a major corporation or anything like that somebody could have assisted me.
Right.
Or trained me, you know. And I'm not that quick. So sometimes it takes me a little while to catch on.
Yeah.
You know.
So I want two stories. One story is a business that you tried to run that didn't work out that you still laugh about till today. And then second story is a business you invested in that didn't know that will work out, it actually worked out.
Okay. The one that didn't work out for me very well was probably the car dealership. Chevrolet came to me, and Chevrolet wanted me to stop what I was doing and go to school. They have a dealership training program. And I couldn't stop what I was doing to do that. So I hired somebody that brought them in to run the Chevrolet dealership. For that reason, it didn't work very well. I ended up selling the Chevrolet dealership to a local politician, as a matter of fact. He ran the business, wasn't successful with it, and it came back to me.
Oh.
When I sold it to him, it had about about $1.5 million worth of debt. In other words, the cars that were there. And it came back to me, it was about $4 million worth of debt.
Just the cars?
Yeah, well, he had run into the hole a bunch of stuff, you know, and consequently, ended up bankrupting.
Whoa.
Well, I didn't like that. No, there was no recovery for it. We got a whole lot of several businesses that I didn't know how successful they would be. The block company, for instance, we bought that and kept adding to, expanding it. I never thought it would grow as big as it was. Later, doing all these businesses, it set me up to retire. The day I turned 50, I retired.
Wow.
Yeah, I retired. I said, hey, I'm done.
Yeah.
I've done all I want to do. I'm retired.
Now you're giving back.
I went home. I didn't stay home very long before I was right back. And I'm back in the same office I had when I retired. Instead of being on the fourth floor, I'm just on the first floor.
Right.
But I own the building, I own the shopping centers. And my deal with the Linwood Shopping Center is a unique deal in that I bought the shopping center back and I was trying to get some assistance from the city. They couldn't figure out how to help me do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I sold the shopping center to the city of Kansas City. And in turn, I took back a 20-year lease. And so I'm the master tenant of the shopping center.
Whoa.
So,
Yeah.
and the city did that deal with me because they knew there was a need to close the gap in terms of where people were with the hunger in our community. So
If you could give me a number of like the biggest deal you've done, what has been your biggest deal you've done so far that was so lucrative?
maybe the shopping centers. That's about $45 million worth of
Wow.
development there.
Yeah.
If you put all of it together, because all of it really runs together.
Yes.
The housing complexes, the Palestine Gardens, Palestine North, and the Palestine Senior Activity Center, the Metropolitan Housing Project, which is right behind the shopping center.
Yeah.
All of these projects, we did one after another. And so when you start adding up the kind of money that was in it, it's probably more like about 60 some odd $1 million.
Wow. In that company. Yeah.
In there.
So, as we're coming towards the end of the show, Mr. Maxwell, I want to do this. This is something new I'm doing, but I'm going to mention 3 different words, and you tell me what you think about them, how you feel about them.
Okay.
So the first one is fear. What do you think? What do you think of fear when it comes to entrepreneurship and your life experience?
I ain't never been that scared. I know if I see a lion,
Yeah.
I know I need to run. But in terms of being afraid, one of the problems I had was watching my dad talk to me about, I had the opportunity in 1950 to do this deal, but I didn't do it. I wish I had it. Now look at those guys. And I always thought, I'm not going to regret it. If I want to do it, I'm going to do it. I tried doing it anyway.
Yes.
I might fail, but I'm going to try and make it happen.
Yes.
And I don't have a lot of things that I've failed at getting started. Maybe they didn't make money,
Yeah.
but I could always figure out how to make something work. you know?
Yeah. Are you afraid of snakes? Because I'm afraid of snakes.
No. I used to keep snakes, so.
Oh, wow. Dang. So you got no fear at all. Okay. You ain't afraid of nothing. Okay. Shoot. Second one is failure.
I can't embrace failure. If something doesn't work and I fail at it, I just put it to the side and go to the next deal. I don't think that it's like being a boxer. You get knocked down, do you stay down or do you fight to get back up? So failure would be in the boxing ring, getting knocked down. Complete failure is to lay there for the count of 10.
Kind of 10.
Yeah,
And then you out.
You're out.
Passion.
Very passionate about my community. Very passionate about my community. I grew up 6 blocks from where the shopping center is located.
Oh.
And ultimately, my mother ended up moving across the street from the shopping center. We put her in a triplex across the street from the shopping center. And she didn't help me a whole lot. She was always on my back about what you ought to do. You need to do this. And when I built Palestine North, she was the first tenant. And she took advantage of that and had several of her friends sign up and come in there with her. And then they were constantly asking for something. We want a big screen television. We want a better kitchen. All right. We want the boat. We want the the bus from the casinos. Come and pick us up every week. Take us down to casino. And I appreciated the get up and go and so forth, because that's the spirit I wanted her to have in order to feel comfortable in that housing setting.
Right.
And everything,
Yeah. Finally, in those words, success.
Success is not necessarily it's not necessarily monetary. Success is being happy. When I worked at Wayne Manor with the Welfare Rights Organization, I met a lot of very, let's say, poor people. People with one family, a mother with 6, 7, 8 kids living in a small apartment, but all the kids were happy, successful, fed well.
Yes.
All were going to school to get an education, and the family was happy. And then I looked at somebody like our ex-President Trump, with all the money in the world. He never seems happy to me. So success to me is being able to be happy with whatever the resources are that you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I want to say this too. I know that one day I'm be able to be rich and like you, because you are so humble and so casual. And I think that's true happiness, in being content in who you are, without feeling like you have to do this or impress this person, and just doing what you love doing.
Yeah, I don't feel like, I'm not trying to emulate anybody at this point. I'm doing my own thing.
Right.
And if I can help someone along the way, that's fine. And sometimes when I need help, if I can get it, that's fine. If I can't, I still try and make whatever I'm doing work for me.
Yeah. Second to last question, what are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for having the opportunity just to be here. I think once you get here, you have to create your own opportunities. The doors, there are many doors that you could open and go through, but you choose the door. Your parents can't always choose the door for you. Some parents will try to guide their kids to a particular door, and that works for them. I've always thought that you're responsible for your own success in life, because you choose the door that you want to go to. You choose who you want to play with. You choose what school you want to go to. You choose what classes you like. You choose your friends, and then you choose the major in college that you may want, and then you choose your first job. Hopefully, you're offered more than one situation, and you choose that job. I call it going through the door. You choose who you're going to get married to. You choose how many kids you're going to have. Right. You choose the neighborhood you're going to live in. So all those are doors that lead to success. Or in some cases, I guess it could lead to failure.
Do you dabble in politics at all?
Just a little. I'm very passionate about supporting elected officials that can help my community. If you help my community, that helps me.
Exactly. Yeah. If you would educate someone today who's watching this and is like, I don't know if I should vote this year or not, what would you tell them?
We got to vote. Whether you agree with who I vote for or not, you need to vote for that person that you think is going to best help your community or help you. And then if it helps your community, ultimately it helps you. Yes. You create an environment where you can be successful.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell, for coming on the show. Is there anything I'm leaving on the table? Is there anything else you want to add, or anything I'm leaving I didn't ask about?
No, maybe during this review, you'll show it, and one of the TV stations will like it, and offer me a big contract. And I could become a movie star.
I would love to be the one to help do that.
I want to be the next Denzel.
Denzel, if you watch it, you see it. Mr. Maxwell said he wants to be next Denzel. Let's make it happen.
I could be your double, man.
Yeah, you could be the double ganger right there. Thank you so much, Mr. Maxwell. I really appreciate you for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom. It's really awesome to have someone like yourself who is not just making success or making money, but also reinvesting. And I know PBA has been so great to me, Mr. Moncaro's such awesome resources. And I know an organization like that is going to last forever, because it's going to be people who need something and need help. So thank you for all you do.
All right, yeah. Ms. Curls has got a bad fix on things. I brought her back from California, and I'm her boss. And she thinks that she's supposed to run me. And I try to protest, but she's always very stern about trying to outline what I'm supposed to do. So,
it's like your employee has become more powerful than you. But thank you so much for being on the show. And for those who are watching, you know what time it is. Please share, let people know that we're here at The Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Zik Nwanganga. I ain't got a lot to say, but thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.